Have you ever seen the ghost at the top of the Spire of Eternity? In this video, I am going to share with you some tips that help me to complete the whole Spire every week. I am iDavis from the Czech community, and before we jump into this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to stay with the latest news from Elvenar. Since the multiplayer feature of Spire was released, which is at the moment of creating this video 1.5 years ago, I haven't passed 1 week without reaching the top of the Spire. As for the individual rewards, which I find pretty useful, so for the multiplayer line, whose rewards very nice support my game progress. This obviously means a need to get through all 3 maps of the Spire, each with 16 encounters to solve every week. The first thing that I want to share with you is how I divide the encounters to solve by diplomacy and encounters to solve by fighting. I always try to look at the fighting possibility in the first place. Having a successful fight might often result in saving more resources after all, compared with having a successful negotiation in diplomacy. In the first map, I usually get all the encounters done by fighting. The fights are easy enough, and even if they consist of more waves, which is very usual in Spire, and I struggle finding a clear combination of units to get through all of the waves, the fights are very doable and the squad size that you are playing with is small enough, so any potential losses do not result in losing a lot of units for you. In the second and the third map, the squad size gets much bigger and even the fights get more difficult, so the battles become much more expensive for you, and in fact, the chances for winning are lower. Therefore, the second and the third map I am usually getting done with a combination of diplomacy and fighting, and I always try to fight only in those encounters where all the waves can be clearly defeated by one and the same setup. Let's take a closer look at the diplomacy feature. In order to successfully solve diplomacy, you need to provide each spirit with a correct resource within the 3 turns. A good way to kick off the first turn is to use as many different resources as possible, so ideally put a different resource in each possible slot. That allows you to quickly find which resources are not required by any of the spirits out there, by the hints that they give to you after the turn is over. Also keep in mind that in the edgest scenario, all of the ghosts can require one and the same resource. That can happen as all of the requirements are generated randomly and there isn't any relation between them. For this reason, it is good for you to check your current state of all the required resources before starting the diplomacy and to ensure that you are able to pay all of them 5 times, so for each of the spirits out there. Running out of resources during a minigame leads to either needing to be replaced with diamonds or cancelling the minigame, which means losing all of your progress you have gained so far. As you keep getting a progress in the negotiation, you might get into a point where you realize that your chances for successful completion are getting low. In that case, it's not necessary for you to participate in all of the 3 turns and actually waste the resources, even if it's clear that you are not going to win, but you can simply cancel the minigame and start again. This is not a win for you either, but you can at least avoid wasting any more resources. It's a strategy that I'm also doing very often, as especially in the higher maps, the diplomacy gets much more difficult due to the higher number of different resources required. Now, let's take a look at which resources are required in diplomacy. Except for the coins and supplies, which are required in every single encounter, you may also be asked for goods of any tiers, orcs, or even decaying resources such as mana, seeds, or sentient goods if you have reached the higher chapters. However, each resource that becomes available to you will not appear in Spire until you reach the following chapter, from the chapter in which the resource got unlocked. For example, mana, unlocked in chapter 9, will not be required in the Spire until you reach chapter 10. That basically allows you to adapt to production of a new resource, and you can peacefully build a source for it, as it will not block you from progressing in Spire. As I have already mentioned, most of the time I try to get through encounters by battle. I am especially focusing on this way of solving an encounter if I have any of the military boost buildings placed in my city. These can be either the tree buildings, which can be crafted in the Magic Academy, or the Dwarven Armorer, which can be won in certain chests in the Spire. Having a set of these buildings in your city makes it much easier to get through the maps of the Spire. All of these buildings also have one thing in common. They all expire after 5 days from the point you place them in the city, Here comes the idea of how to time playing the Spire so that you get most out of your military boost buildings. In combination with tournaments, in which my cooldown is reduced thanks to Time Warp Wonder and the Polar Bear, I can use one set of military boost buildings for 2 rounds of tournament. While the first set is placed at the end of one tournament and remains active until the beginning of the other one. Thanks to this, it is possible for me to similarly adjust playing the Spire, so that the number of solved encounters in one round of the Spire is closer to its end, and more encounters in the second round of the following week are played more in the beginning. Whether you choose this approach obviously depends on how many time boosters you are willing to use to speed opening the gates up, but even without using them at all, you can still shift playing the Spire closer to either beginning or the end of the round. This approach means saving a lot of military boost buildings, which comes very efficient, as the ways you can receive them are considerably limited and they can make a huge impact on your Spire progress. My motivation that keeps me finishing the whole Spire every week comes especially from the multiplayer rewards that you can unlock together with your fellowship. I see the 2 most important resources for me provided here: 5-hour time boosters, which are present here in very nice numbers, and diamonds. All the rewards together can bring you 275 diamonds in total, so if you are in a good, Spire-oriented fellowship that can reach the top of the multiplayer line every week, and you are also reaching the top yourself, it can actually become your weekly reward. Besides the other rewards, such as combining catalysts, for which the multiplayer rewards are also a great source, your fellowship receives a golden trophy for reaching the final milestone. There is not any substantial purpose of having golden trophy on your fellowship's page, you don't receive any resources or rewards for it, but it is very beneficial for the presentation of your fellowship. On our live server, we are one of the latest fellowships having the golden trophies only, and this is very helpful when it comes to finding new members who are active in the Spire. If an active Spire player is looking for a fellowship, he definitely wants to join a fellowship which has a good Spire results, so that he can benefit from full multiplayer rewards, and he will preferably choose the fellowship with the good trophy representation. So for us, as a fellowship, it makes it much easier to find a new and good support for the Spire. So this is what I consider to be the most important points to mention in terms of advancing and getting a Spire progress. Thank you for watching, I hope you found this series of tips useful, and I will see you next time.